Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Dan Jones. I am here on behalf of the Steelworkers Higher Education Benefit Programs. You can see my name there. Many of you I've met on my travels around the country, but thanks to the epidemic that's going on right now, we're going to talk virtually here. You do have Connie Mabin, the Director of New Media, is manning the website. So if you have questions, you can absolutely and please use the Facebook comments section. Connie will be grabbing those questions and feeding them so that I can answer them over the course of this program. So to begin, slide 2, we are talking about 2 programs this evening. The first is the Steelworkers Free College Benefit. The Free College Benefit allows members and their families to earn an associate's degree online at no out-of-pocket cost. So there's a lot to unpack in that sentence, but the first place to start is with your membership in the Steelworkers. As long as you are a member, yourself and your family can take advantage of this degree. And I know many of our benefits that we have through our contract are just for us as the employee, but this benefit offered through the Steelworkers applies to your family as well. And we'll have a slide in a little bit. One of the first questions is who in my family is eligible? So we'll be able to answer that in a few slides. So dues-paying members and their families earn an associate's degree. That is the 2-year community college degree that you can earn at any community college all over the country. All right, so that's the 2-year associate's degree. Our program is entirely online, which means, frankly, as working adults, we're dealing with our children, we're sometimes taking care of our parents, we have jobs, we have lives. The online nature of the program allows you to fit college into your life rather than having you rearrange your life to fit in college. All right. And then lastly, this is sort of the big catch here. We have no out-of-pocket costs for this program. And that means as long as you are a dues-paying member of the Steelworkers, you and your family will not be charged tuition, fees, or books. The books are included as well. So that's a program that's been out for a few years. We have some details on that program in a few slides. If we go to the next slide, what we'll be talking about is our newest program, which is our Bachelor's Degree Completion Program. If you have seen previous emails or messaging about this program, there is a significant change to announce this evening. This program, again, dues-paying members and their families can earn their bachelor's degree online. In the past, this degree has had a $4,500 annual charge. Because of the COVID-19 outbreak, we are making this program no out-of-pocket cost for students who enroll this summer. All right, so students who enroll this summer or any students who are currently enrolled, they will not pay tuition, fees, or books for their bachelor's degree completion program. The one caveat, in addition to Steelworker membership, is that those students need to be continuously enrolled through graduation. So what that means is you have to take a minimum of 1 class in the fall, 1 in the spring, and 1 in the summer to maintain that scholarship. So this is brand new. It was just announced this week. For those of you that may pay attention to Union Plus emails, you may have seen that as well earlier this week. But we're extremely excited both about the Free College Associate's Degree Program as well as the Bachelor's Degree Program. At this point, it looks like we have a question. Connie Mabin from the New Media team. Do you have a question that we can answer right now?
Good evening, Dan. Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We do have a question, Dan. Lacey White, she's a member of Local 200L in St. Mary's, Ohio. She's actually currently enrolled in the 2-year program, and she's wondering how long will the 4-year program be free? She's hoping, obviously, that she can take advantage of it once she's done with her associates.
Absolutely. So right now, the program is free for summer based on the availability of funds that were opened up because of the COVID-19 epidemic. What I would say, and I would strongly encourage you to do, is pay attention to emails that will be coming from the New Media team regarding any announcement in the future for extending this program the free nature of this program into the future.
Great.
Okay.
One more question, Dan, before
Yes,
I go with more. We have a lot of our members wondering about retired steelworkers. Are they and their families eligible for these programs as well?
they are. So it is not only for active members, but for retirees as well. And so when we get to eligibility, you'll see that it's not just spouses and children, but also grandchildren and other relatives who are eligible. So absolutely, your retired steel workers, you put in a lifetime for the union, and the union's extending this benefit to your families as well.
That's very cool. And just a little reminder, those retirees must be a member of SOAR. So you have to join our Steelworker Organization for Active Retirees, SOAR, and we can help you get hooked up with that if you want to leave a question in the comments or email us, and we'll get you the information you need if you're a retiree. So I'm going to go look for some more questions, and I'll come back soon. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Connie. So if we go to the next slide, the number one piece of feedback I get, it doesn't matter if I'm in California, Ohio, or Maine, the question is this for real, right? We've been led our entire lives to believe that there is no free lunch. And so the next slide number 5, are actually some data points or some statistics that help us realize just how real this program is. We started in 2016 with maybe 50 or 75 students. We currently, as of right now, have more than 28,000 union members and their families enrolled in the free college program, right? So 28,000 people currently, and since our launch in 2016, more than 50,000 union families have taken advantage of this benefit. Now, some have worked all the way through to the graduation. We've had more than 2,000 graduates. Others have grabbed some courses that they needed to take, and maybe they transferred it to another university, or maybe they just wanted to learn about accounting or something like that. So it's absolutely been wonderful for union members and their families. For the steelworkers particularly, you have almost 1,200 steelworker brothers and sisters in our program, which is wonderful. And when you talk about how this can be real, this is a demonstration of the power of a union, right? The solidarity, not just within the steelworkers, but this program is open to all of the AFL-CIO unions, coordinated through the Union Plus program. So it has AFSCME and has the auto workers and has just a variety of unions taking advantage of this. And all of those groups working together are what makes this possible. So if we go to the next slide, the basics of the program then, I sort of mentioned up front, right? Our online courses for both the associate's degree and the bachelor's degree are run in 8-week sessions. This allows the union member or your families to fit college into your life. With an 8-week course, we see that most students will take 1 or 2 classes over that 8-week period. That way they can, continue to work, continue to, deal with their children and everything else. But they can also take 1 or 2 classes, focus on them, and then when that 8 weeks is over, you take 2 new classes, right? This is in opposition. Many of, like when I was in school, you sat there through a 14 or a 16-week semester, and you tried to juggle 5 or 6 classes. Well, that doesn't work for working adults. And so that's why we have these 8-week sessions. Each course does have a faculty of record. Both of our campuses have unionized faculty, which I think is important. But the point here is that we don't just take students and sort of throw them online to fend for themselves. There is a complete support system to help students be successful, right? And that's a real key. One of the major emotions that we deal with when we're thinking about going back to school is anxiety, right? And understanding that there is an entire support network of faculty, of staff, of guidance counselors, of other union members who can help you through this process. I think that helps us deal with the anxiety of, oh man, it's been 20 years since I've been in school. I'm scared to go back. Well, it is a scary thing, but that's why we have a support network for you. All right, and what we're really aiming for is a manageable workload for our students. So if we go to the next slide, we talk about who's eligible. Usually when I give this presentation in person, the first 15 hands up are, what about my cousin? What about my brother? What about my grandparents, my nieces and nephews? What I will say is that the steelworkers, number one, the steelworkers tell us who's eligible for this program, not the other way around. That's the first thing to say. And the second is that the steelworkers of all the unions in the country are the most generous in terms of defining what it means to be a family member. So it is for active and retirees. It is for spouses and other domestic partners. It is for kids, grandkids, nieces and nephews. We say financial dependence, but these students don't have to be living in your house. They do not have to be living in your house. Well, I'll get a question, Dan, I've got a 36-year-old son who lives 4 states over. They are also eligible, right? So there are some education benefits where it only applies to a financial dependent that you would list on your taxes. This is not that. As many people in your family who can participate in this program are allowed to, and that really speaks to the generosity that the steelworkers have used to implement this program. So we have 2 academic partners. Again, if this sounds interesting, the first is Eastern Gateway Community College. It is a physical campus in Ohio. It's a public institution, so it is part of the community college system in the state of Ohio. We have 2 different bargaining units on campus, so it's a unionized campus. And this is my geography lesson for this evening. Steubenville, Ohio is the part of Ohio that's right next to West Virginia and Pennsylvania. So if you remember your maps, that's where in the world the physical campus is. But more than 90% of its students, remember 28,000 students, are online. We have students from all 50 states. We have students who are 18 years old. We have students who are 80 years old. The majority of our students, around 72%, are female. All right. So, and our average age is in their young 40s. All right. So if that gives you a sense of who's taking advantage, we have all age groups, but when you average it out, it's about 40 years old. Eastern Gateway offers associate's degrees, as I mentioned earlier. We have more than 30 programs. Now, the best place to go to see the listing of programs is freecollege.usw.org, which I believe, if it's not already in the Facebook comments, it can be. At freecollege.usw.org, we have a complete listing of all of the degrees available. We have a variety of degrees in business. We have general studies, which is really built to transfer to a 4-year degree. We have childhood education and paralegal, criminal justice. If there's a topic you want to study, more likely than not, it's going to be listed there on the Eastern Gateway website. Connie, it looks like we may have a few more hands raised for questions. I'll pause for a moment and then we'll get to those.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, we have the questions coming in, and I'm sure some of these you may be getting to in your presentation, but
Sure.
We'll get to them sooner rather than later. So Megan Reinhardt asks, when is the final enrollment date for the summer semester?
So our summer, you still have more than a month. We do have different dates for each program. The dates are clearly listed on freecollege.usw.org, so I would definitely go there. We'll get into the enrollment process in a few slides, but it is good to know that you have more than a month to work through the process, and it's entirely, you have more than enough time to get yourself into a seat for summer.
And Timothy Sandoval had a question about the bachelor's degree, but I think he just answered it. He wanted to know what colleges were offering the bachelor's degree, and I think you just mentioned that. And Paulette Battisti, hey Paulette. Paulette wants to know, is real life experience counted towards the credits, and will credits transfer?
Great. So the credit transfer question is yes. The Eastern Gateway Community College, as well as Central State, which we will talk about in a second for the bachelor's degree. Both programs are accredited by the Higher Learning Commission, or HLC. This is the regional accreditor that covers quite a bit of the Midwest, kind of out to Colorado. There's a Western States group. There's an Atlantic group. We've had students transfer Eastern Gateway credits to more than 1,000 institutions, including University of California, Penn State, University of Maryland. We even have a student at Dartmouth. So the accreditation by HLC is the key piece of information when you're asking about the transfer of credits. In terms of life experience, we do have a process for prior learning credit, or PLC. And when a student submits their application, they should make it known to their advisor or their admissions counselor that they would like to explore the opportunities for that prior learning credit. This could be certifications you've earned. This could be, there's a group of exams called the CLEP exams, where if you just know a lot about history, you can take a test and see if you can test out of history. So those are all options to discuss with your enrollment advisor.
Great. And one more right now from Chuck Pearson. He wants to know, his son is graduating high school. We have a lot of folks, as we know, in this situation, especially right now, poor kiddos who aren't going to get to have their graduation ceremonies. He's wondering, would his son enroll in the associate's program, or would he enroll for a bachelor's program? And
Great.
the second part of his question, Dan, sorry to cut you off there, is what majors are available?
Great. So the answer is he would go into the Eastern Gateway program first. As soon as he graduates, he would be eligible, and I'll talk about those requirements here in a few slides. But what he would do is select one of those 30+ programs at Eastern Gateway, and then the program at Central State is a bachelor's completion. And I will talk about that actually in the next slide.
Well, that's a perfect segue. So I'm going to get out of here.
I mean, I couldn't have planted that question any better, right?
All right. Well, I'm going to go look for some more, and I'll come back soon.
Thanks, Connie.
Thanks.
So if we go to slide number 9, the bachelor's degree completion program, again, thank you. Was it Chuck? I forget who offered that question, but it leads perfectly to what we're talking about here. Central State University is our academic partner for the bachelor's degree programs. Right now, there are 2 majors. Again, we just started this in the spring, and we are constantly adding more degrees each semester. But for the start, your members and families have the option to earn a bachelor's in education. That leads to an early childhood teaching license. And they also have an opportunity to earn a bachelor's degree in business administration with a focus on management. So those are the first 2 degrees. For a student who's starting from scratch, however, as they work through the program at Eastern Gateway, that allows us time to add more degrees. Criminal justice for the fall, for example. We have an interdisciplinary studies degree that we're building out. So there are a variety of degrees that we roll out on a semester by semester basis. Central State University is also public. It is also nonprofit. It's also unionized. And it has the distinction of being Ohio's historically Black college, or in this case, university. It is accredited by HLC, and it is the mission of Central State University to bring education to groups who have not had education made available to them. And as part of that mission, they've identified working adults, members of the AFL-CIO, all of us, as, when you're working, it's hard to go to college. And so the reason they've signed up is to help make it possible for all of us and our families. So I think that's fantastic. Likewise with the credit transfer question, because they are accredited by HLC, students can earn credits here and then transfer. So the next slide, really when you ask the question, how do I know which program is right for me? That's exactly the question that was just asked. Sometimes it's a student graduating from high school. Sometimes it may be someone, you tried college 20 years ago and it didn't work out, but you do have some credit hours that you've earned. If we go to slide 11, how do I know which program is right for me? All right, the real question we ask on an advising call, and to be fair, if you have any questions at all, you should visit freecollege.usw.org, fill out the inquiry form. There is also a phone number on the website, and you will be able to speak to a counselor who can walk you through this process as well. But even before you do those things, for members or family members that do not hold an associate's degree, right, or they have 20 hours or 30 hours that they've accumulated, those individuals should enroll in the free college benefit. It will give them the most opportunity to maximize the credits that they've earned, and then also an accelerated path to complete that associate's degree. We also like the idea of the student after a year or two of work having something tangible like the associate's degree. In some situations that could entitle, depending on your contract, we have seen contracts out there that, there's a pay raise or there's an education attainment bonus that they can earn. So it's a good thing to understand your contract and to see if those provisions are in there. But even beyond that, holding the degree is a sense of accomplishment that really provides momentum into the bachelor's degree program, right? So for members that do hold an associate's degree in either education or business, those are individuals who would be routed into the Central State program. Again, it is a bachelor's completion program, which implies that there is already an associate's degree being held. I'll anticipate a question here. What if I have an associate's degree, but it's not in education or business? All right, so let's say Dan Jones has an associate's degree in history, but now he wants to go get a bachelor's in business. What I would most likely do is I would attend Eastern Gateway Community College, take those prerequisite business courses, right? Because there's those courses you take as a sophomore that allow you to sit for your junior and senior level classes. Then once I had finished my prereqs, then I would transfer those credits over to Central State University. So there may be additional questions on that, but really the question of which program is right hinges on, does the member have an associate's degree, and then what kind? So the next slide, again, if all this sounds wonderful and interesting and you're asking yourself, how on earth do I enroll in such a great program, right? freecollege.usw.org on the screen right now is the starting place. You will go there, you'll fill out an inquiry form, which basically asks for your name and your phone number. At that point, you will be assigned an advisor or an admissions counselor who will walk you through this entire process. You will also be sent emails immediately highlighting this process. So if you fill out that form at freecollege.usw.org, you will get an email right away outlining this information. The first step of the enrollment process is the application. It takes 10, 15 minutes. It's like every application you've ever filled out. Ours also asks for any, if you were active military at any point in your life. But you fill out the application. This is both for Eastern Gateway and for Central State. You'll then fill out a FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. This gets to the question. There's actually usually a couple questions that pop up on this one. One is, if it's free, why do I have to fill it out? And two, what if I know I won't qualify for any kinds of, financial assistance? This also typically gets to the third question, which is, how on earth can you have something called free college, right? So what happens is, of those 28,000 members, a small number of them actually qualify for grants. There are a variety of different grants offered at the federal level, but it is those grant monies as well as other sources of money. That's how we pay for this program. So the FAFSA is a requirement of the application process. Even if you're 100 or 99% confident that you won't qualify for those, we run the application anyway, just to make sure that there aren't monies left on the table. All right. It is important also here to note that no dues money is used for free college. $0 of your dues go to support this program. All right. So the federal funding is the entirety or the vast majority of the funding. All right. So application, FAFSA, transcripts for the associate's degree program. That transcript would be the official transcript that said you graduated from high school, as well as any previous college credits. Now, given COVID-19, many schools are closed or they are not necessarily timely in their response for transcript requests. This is an area where your admissions counselor will walk you through this process, and we understand, we absolutely understand that transcripts aren't being sent as quickly, and we have workarounds to make sure that students are able to enroll on time. For the bachelor's degree program, there is an admissions decision. About a 2.2 grade point average for business, 2.5, I believe it is, for education. And then lastly, the student enrolls. So those are the steps. Connie, it looks like we're going to have you pop back on and tell us or give us some more questions.
Yes, Dan, we have lots of great questions. I'm
Great,
trying
that's good.
to keep up here. Some of them I might get to the end. So if you don't hear your question, don't fret. I want to give Dan a chance to go through his slides because he may answer a lot of these questions in his slides. And then if he doesn't, we'll come back to them at the end.
Absolutely.
But we have a few people who are asking about certain majors that aren't listed in the bachelor's program, like nursing. That came up a couple of times. So
Sure.
can you address what programs are offered and what may be offered in the future, maybe?
Yeah, so nursing is usually the number one question for us. The issue is each state has its own set of nursing requirements for programs, and to be able to run that one program for all 50 states is very, very difficult. Now we are working on what would essentially be a pre-nursing program at Eastern Gateway. So again, I'd pay attention to the website as well as communications from the Steelworkers on when that would become available. That being said, if someone is interested in nursing right now, I would at Eastern Gateway enroll in the Associate of Arts program. That is the first 2 years of almost every degree in the country. It's history, it's math, it's psychology, it's sociology. And that way a student could earn many, if not all, of their your core curriculum or your general education courses, and then transfer that to a nursing program closer to home so that you can meet the requirements of the state where you'd like to practice.
And you'd save a bunch of money doing that. Because
if we can cut the price in half, that's better than not cutting it in half, right?
We have Joshua Graysick is wondering about the definition of family. He says, would his niece or nephew qualify?
Yeah, so in that case, the answer is yes. I would say this: if you have any questions about what defines family, you can always reach out to the new media team, or my email address is coming in about 2 slides, and you can text or email me those questions as well. We've had everything from great grandchildren to someone they took in a child at a very young age and they've raised that child as their own. That counts as family, right? So there's a real common sense way that the Steelworkers define it, and I think the error would be on the side of including people, not excluding them.
Right. And I do want to point out that we do include domestic partnerships as family. And if you have any questions about that, as Dan said, reach out to us. The key here is make sure you're a dues paying member. So as long as you're paying your dues to the Steelworkers, you can apply for whoever you consider to be your family. We'll work with you. So we can work with you directly, or you can reach out to your staff. Josh Lee wants to know, those of us who are already enrolled at Eastern Gateway, will they be automatically enrolled in Central State?
So, that's a great question. No, you will have to, now it's an expedited process, but that would be a great conversation to have with your enrollment specialist to talk about how quickly and easy that process is. There is an application, your FAFSA, you just have to update it with a new 6-digit code. So it's not as onerous as maybe someone starting from scratch, but you will actually go through a shortened process.
And Susan Rockowich Cornell, she wants to know, what if she already has a bachelor's degree? I'm assuming she's asking, can she transfer her credits into another degree?
So actually the answer is yes, and that's for both programs. We at Eastern Gateway, for our associate's degree program, we have people with PhDs earning an associate's degree. All right, so it does change your financial aid eligibility, but again, it's free regardless of your income or anything like that. So if there is a topic you always wanted to study, or again, let's say you have a bachelor's in English, but now you want to go get an associate's in business, you absolutely can do that. And again, when you go to freecollegeusw.org and then speak with your admissions counselor, that's something to bring up on the first conversation.
Okay. Just a couple more, Dan. Miguel Garcia, he wants to know, hey, Miguel, I'm glad you're on. He wants to know, do credits from the National Labor College transfer in?
Yes. So there is the step number 3 is transcripts. So any transcript you have, you get those officials sent into Eastern Gateway or to Central State, and they will be evaluated for credit. It just depends on what degree you're studying, how old the credits are. There are some requirements, but what I always say is, if you took the class, send in the transcripts, and you can always appeal a decision that you don't like.
Can't hurt to ask. April Jaheen, her son is currently going to Chattanooga State Community College.
Okay.
He's due to graduate next year with an associate's degree. She wants to know, will this program help him, or could this program help him?
So if what he's interested in is a bachelor's degree in business or education, that associate's degree would qualify him for the bachelor's completion program. It depends on how many courses he has left. We do have students. We had actually a different union, but a student was about 4 classes away from graduating from the University of Maryland, and they lost their job and had no money. He enrolled in our program, took those last 4 classes, transferred them to Maryland, and then graduated, right? So that is one possibility. This also raises an interesting question, given what's happening in the world right now. Many college campuses, if not all of them, are closed, and they are running online classes. And there is significant doubt to whether or not those campuses will reopen in the fall. This would be an opportunity. If you have a student who's displaced because of COVID, they could take courses for free through our program and then transfer them back to their home institution once campuses open back up again. So that's a long answer, and it never hurts to call the number or go to the website and ask an enrollment counselor. But there are some very creative ways your members can use this program.
That's right. That's what I was just going to suggest, is for specific circumstances, just call. It's a toll-free number. There are union workers who answer the phone and are those counselors on the other end, so they can help you figure out your situation. Right. Last question for now, Dan, and then I'm going to let you finish, and I'll come back at the end. David Hallis has a great question. It's a question that I actually have. For those of us who haven't been in school for like 20 years.
Yeah, well, however many years it was. That's right.
And can we do this? Is this something that we can do as someone who hasn't been in school for a long time?
Yes, the answer is yes. And literally thousands of other people in that exact same scenario with that same sort of doubt are doing it and have done it and have walked across the stage. And so, if you can operate a web browser, right? So you Chrome or Safari or whatever, Internet Explorer, if you can click the left and the right button, you can do this. The online program is very easy to use. We run a system called Canvas, which is in almost all the schools around the country. Technology ends up not being the issue. The issue students face is they think, oh, this is online, this will be easy. And this is work. There's reading, you're writing papers, you're taking quizzes, like you're cutting time out of your busy life to do this work. And I think, if anything, that's the hurdle that many people encounter, not necessarily the technology of an online program. On the other side of the coin, it's that level of work that, number one, makes the degree valuable, and number two, makes that graduation such an amazing event. I will, Connie, tell this one story. We had a student in Hawaii. Now, remember, our campus is in Steubenville, Ohio. We had a student from Hawaii fly to Seattle, rent a car, drive from Seattle to Steubenville, Ohio, put on a cap and gown, walk across the stage, get a diploma. He walked right back into his car and drove back home, right? And then flew to Hawaii. So these degrees have real value. And it is because of the level of work that our students put into these degrees. I will say that. And if technology, or if it's just it's been 10, 15, 20, 30 years, we've had students in their 80s, 80, get back on the horse and go back to school. So you can absolutely do it.
And also, it's a flexible program, right? So you and I were talking before we got on. If you want to take one
class, Take
Right.
one class and see how it goes. Didn't cost you anything, and the worst thing that happens is you learned something.
Exactly. Right.
Right.
So I'm going to go get, so there are lots of questions coming
Great.
in, just so you know, so I'm going to let
I
you.
think we only have one more slide. So if we go to slide 13, it's really a screen capture of our website. You can see the 800 number listed there, as well as, again, this is freecollege.usw.org. There should be a link in the comments where you can click on it. Who knows? You might be on that website right now clicking around. But there's you can see there's a frequently asked questions tab along the top. That's everything I've said here tonight, and probably 10,000 more things than that. You can see our degree programs as well as other ways to contact us. So that's really what I wanted to show on that slide, is just to give you a sense of what the website looked like. You'll also see now, I believe we have summer classes starting June 1 for the associate's degree program. So you can see someone asked about the deadlines, and those are kept up to date on the website as well. So the next slide is actually the last, and it has my email address. That's djones@student-resource.org. We work primarily with the unions to administer this program, and our partners at Eastern Gateway Community College and Central State University to provide this for members and families. So if you have any questions, obviously you can feel free to reach out to Connie or to me, as well as to your local leadership who can route questions to us. But at that, I will pause and let's answer some more questions.
Hi, everyone. So I'm just going to use my phone to scroll through here. And again, if I don't get to your question, we'll get back to you one-on-one. Don't worry. I promise you we'll answer your question. I have Rena Diaz. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. She's wondering, she says, do I have unofficial transcripts? Will that work?
Great question. So your unofficial transcripts are enough to get the process started. You will have to request your official transcripts during the process. But if you have unofficials, you should absolutely fill out the forms and get started. And then we can kind of get that process rolling while things open back up and your officials get sent over.
And Tanya Hampton asks, I think I know the answer, but I'm going to let you answer. She says that she has a bachelor's already. She wants to get an associate's in another field. That's allowed, right? She can do that.
Please do it. Yes.
Susan Cornell, she has a great question. She already did a FAFSA form for her child. Does she need to do another one for herself?
So it depends on the particulars of how you filled that out. It may be beneficial to file another FAFSA just as yourself without both yourself and your child. That is a great question for our financial aid help desk. So again, once you start the process, you not only have someone helping you with admissions, but we have an entire team, again, as Connie mentioned, unionized, stationed in Steubenville, Ohio, who can answer specific FAFSA questions.
And Josh Lee, I think I misstated his earlier question, so I want to ask again. He was asking about eligibility for Central State. He's saying, are these automatically eligible, not enrolled?
Oh, yeah. To be eligible for Central State, you need to be a union member, and you need to have that associate's degree that has the prereqs. That's the eligibility requirements are the same, and that extends to family members as well.
Great. And I think that's all I have for now, unless there's some more coming in. But I wanted to ask, I know a lot of people want to know, especially in these tough times, what happens if they get laid off? So they enroll their child or their niece, and then they get laid off.
So that's a great question. It's unfortunate, but the Steelworkers will extend this benefit to those who are laid off. And that could be COVID-19 related. It could also just be in the general closing of a mill or a shop. I have done personally several events. We were down in Crossett, Arkansas. I've been at Anchor Glass in Zanesville, Ohio. I was at the Luke plant in Maryland. So when those plants shut down, we sign up Steelworkers, even though you're involuntarily leaving the union. So the Steelworkers have extended this benefit to those that does befall them, so that they can continue their education for themselves and their families. I will add for students, it sounds like we have some current Eastern Gateway students on the call. If you are an Eastern Gateway student right now and your income has been impacted by COVID-19, you could have lost a job, you may have been furloughed, you may have had an hours reduction. I would encourage you strongly to reach out to the financial aid advising team at Eastern Gateway. We have set up a displaced workers fund, and they'll go through a questionnaire with you to talk about the circumstances of that loss and what, if any, money you might be eligible for. That is not money for school. That is cash in your hand for the electric bill and food.
That's really great. That's really great. And again, it's the power of our collective action as union members to be able to offer this for our family. I do want to point out, if you get laid off or furloughed or your hours get cut, you and your family are still eligible as long as you're paying dues, but you must be paying dues. And so we have some folks who think they can pay dues maybe until they sign up and then they can stop paying dues. And what happens, Dan, if some folks stop paying?
So for folks that leave the union voluntarily, let's say that, they actually get a bill. So the way this works is we do a verification process after every term. And if we cannot verify union membership, obviously with working with the Steelworkers, those students are permitted to continue, but they are paying out of pocket at that point. So the last dollar scholarship, the free nature of the program, is reserved for those dues paying members.
And we do check. So
there's a team of people that check.
Right. So you must be paying dues. It's a great benefit of membership. Great organizing tool for our sisters and brothers who are watching, who maybe are trying to get some folks to join the union. This is a great organizing tool. I have, oh yes, very important question. We have several members, including Brother Mike from Canada. Hey, Mike, he wants to know, are Canadian members eligible for this?
They absolutely are. So when our brothers and sisters from Canada go to the website and contact, they will be able to, I believe, will find there's a Canadian application. I think instead of the Social Security number, I'm going to get it wrong. There's another number that our Canadian brothers and sisters use, but just let your advisor know we do have Canadian students in the program now.
Right. So yes, Steelworkers, as long as you're paying dues,
right,
you're definitely eligible. And we do have a few folks, Dan, asking about financial aid grants, things like that.
Sure.
I think what they're asking is, do they need to apply for these grants on their own, or I think it's part of the process, right, with the FAFSA?
Yeah, the only financial aid we ask for is for the FAFSA. Once you complete that, it's out of the student's hands. You fill out FAFSA, you send it in, and it becomes a conversation between the U.S. Department of Education and Eastern Gateway Community College or Central State. So yeah, you fill out your form, but you don't have to do anything other than that.
And you don't need to worry about it, right?
You don't have to worry about it. There is a process called verification that happens maybe 20 or 30% of the time, where you have to, like, your middle initial doesn't match your full middle name or something, like sometimes it's typos. So you do have to complete the financial aid process, but no, you do not have to submit for other forms of payment.
So I hope that answered your question. If it didn't answer your question, Megan, specifically, let one of the team members know, and we'll get in touch with you personally and get your question. Dan, I think a couple of people are still maybe confused about how it works in terms of schools. So just to reiterate, there are two schools, right? And it doesn't matter where you live or what degree you choose. You're going to do those schools online, either Eastern Gateway for the 2-year degrees, Central State for the bachelor's degree. And then if you choose, you pay nothing for those degrees. You can transfer into any school you choose, basically, right?
That is correct. So the Steelworkers free college programs are strictly through Eastern Gateway and Central State University. They are 100% online. So we have students from all 50 states. And then, yes, once you have credits, you can take them wherever you like. But these programs, what we've described tonight, is strictly through Eastern Gateway and Central State.
Right. So I'm a mom, and I think, you can get those basic prerequisites out of the way for free, and then you save $20,000, $30,000 then have your child transfer into the big state university, and just think about student debt, not having to saddle your kids or yourself with student debt. This is a wonderful, wonderful benefit. I'm looking, Dan, I don't see any more questions. I think we pretty much got to everyone.
Okay. Well, my email is there. They obviously know how to contact you. And if you're like me, it'll be 10 minutes from now, you'll have a really good question. So feel free to email any of us, and we'll make sure to get an answer right back to you.
I lied. I just got one that popped in I want to get to.
Love it.
Robert McAuliffe is asking if the benefit only applies to active dues members and family members that are laid off or on furlough. No, you don't have to be laid off. You can still be working, be someone who's going to work, and you, your child, your family members can go. But if, God forbid, you did get laid off, that benefit continues, which is a real, I know, blessing for a lot of people right now who are trying to get themselves or their kids through school after losing their jobs.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Awesome. Thank you, Dan. This has been really, I think we still have time to make it to the draft.
So I said, hopefully people have their drinks ready. So thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with your members. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to follow up. And if you're thinking about doing this, you should absolutely pull the trigger, fill out the form, and we'll walk you through it. But absolutely, you can do this. So thank you so much for the time.
No problem. Thanks for joining us. And everyone, please share this with all your fellow coworkers and members. It's a really important benefit. We want to spread the word. Good night, everyone.
Thank you so much.